Welcome to Vision to Venture. I'm Eddie, and I'm here to uncover the realities of scaling and building a tech startup. Each week, I speak to leaders within the tech space with their insights and advice on how to found, fund, and frame a tech startup. So make sure to follow and subscribe to never miss an episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Vision to Venture. In today's episode, we're joined by Carles Fernandez Tena, Head of AI at Oxalo. From project manager to CTO, we explore Carles's career evolution, sharing his insights in the world of AI. Hey, Carles, how are you today?
I'm perfectly fine. Very grateful to be here with you, Eddie. Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure. So first off, just to kick off this pod, can you just walk us through your journey from telecommunication engineering to becoming a leader in AI?
Yes, definitely. Well, I became immediately attracted and actually mesmerized by signal processing, right? So whenever at the end of my career, I did some specializations already in applied linguistics and computer vision. After that, I worked sometimes at Philips Applied Technologies, developing some text-to-speech systems. That was a nice, interesting way of mixing, let's say, speech and audio already. And I love mixing these different fields, right? Afterwards, I purchased my PhD in computer vision. I was invited to join an EU FP7 collaborative project that was called Hermes. It was about smart video surveillance systems. It was a really cool project with a very nice research centers and universities across Europe that was actually connecting computer vision with natural language, which that was amazing. And it was what I wanted. I wanted to go towards computer vision and kind of like close the circle, right? So this system was actually using cameras to detect scenes, track people and objects, reason what kind of activities and behaviors we're having together, and then using a natural language interface to communicate with the people, with the users of the system. So it was a really nice, interesting journey. We collaborated with the University of Oxford, with ETH, with some other centers. And well, there I kind of learned a lot about computer vision. And after that, I was able to apply my knowledge to industry when I moved to a startup company. It was a very small startup company by then. It was called ERTA. It is still called ERTA. Now it's much bigger. But we were like 4 or 5 people when I joined. And yeah, that is when I started, let's say, my journey into the leadership of AI. Over the course of 11 years there, I moved from being initially an R&D engineer to a director of research, and later on I became CTO of the company.
So during your time as director of research and CTO at your previous company, Herta, what were some like key lessons that you learned about navigating technology and business in the AI industry?
Well, specifically for the AI industry, I think there are 2 takeaways that were very important. The first one is adapt fast. That was a really, really important one. I remember in 2011, we were already having a face detector on GPU, and almost nobody was using GPUs for HPC and commercial products by then. I remember talking with some colleagues at the Computer Vision Center where I did my PhD, and they were telling me, what do you think about GPUs? Do you think that they will be useful or not? And it was already 2011. I mean, a couple of years later, everybody was using GPUs, right? So it was great that we could anticipate that. And also in 2015, we were using the first deep learning models for face demographics estimation. They were not super nice, but we were already dealing with deep learning, and this helped us very much to, assimilate everything that came afterwards. So this adapt fast is really one important takeaway. The other one, I think, it's this course of small companies that at the beginning, we were in front of other AI tech giants, right? And we were experiencing like so many challenges when you are a small company in this big world. Back then, it was not at the scale that is today. Before, it was like, okay, how can we have a database of 10 million people like some other companies are having? We cannot have that, right? And nowadays, I think it's equivalent to say something like, well, maybe we don't need to train an LLM in our company, right? Maybe we can do something else. So I think the key takeaway here is that there is still huge opportunities to apply cutting edge innovation without having to reinvent the wheel. Sometimes you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Sometimes you maybe have to add wheels to some unexpected objects to have innovation.
And so obviously you've got a lot of experience within like going throughout your career. Could you just share your experience transitioning from director of research role to CTO within the same company, and if there and what were their sort of key skills or experiences that prepared you for this transition?
Yeah, that was a hard one, I have to say. So yes, you are technically prepared your whole life, right? With the degree, with the master, with the PhD, with your
Mhm.
R&D job to just try to get the quality, try to get the thing. And then suddenly you have to delegate. You have to trust the teams. You have to deal with customers. You have to deal with partners. And well, one of the things that I think, well, you are intimidated, first of all, by that. And well, you have to believe harder, and in what you know from the technical experience is very valid. That's the first thing. Like you are there because probably you deserve it based on your experience. So you really need to act like that, and you have to trust your instincts on feasibility of tech. You also have to trust the facts, of course. You have to really, but typically for people who are coming from tech, we are very fact oriented. We are very objective. We need sometimes a little bit of self-consciousness. We have to understand also, well, that many things that you develop will not generalize, and you have to be much more careful with what you promise. Then it's not the same as when you are an enthusiastic R&D engineer and you say, I will get this done. Sometimes you have to always think of the dark side of things when things don't get done, right? In AI, it happens very often. You cannot generalize a model. You cannot. It doesn't work well in real world scenarios. And well, you also learn to not skip stages, to not cut corners, to go from feasibility analysis to prototype to testing to technology transfer to optimization. And I think you learn to be blatantly honest with yourself. I think that was one of the things that I had to. I was convincing myself this can be done. And sometimes you cannot try to convince yourself that it can be done. You have to be very much skeptical about things in the reality of AI. I think that's something that I had to learn as well.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like there's a lot of different sort of paths and routes that you could take to sort of get there, and a lot of things that you can learn along the way. But ultimately, I feel like also just sort of throwing yourself in the deep end with that type of thing is how you're going to learn mainly. But I don't know that I obviously haven't been through that type of career, but obviously it somebody like yourself will know all of like the best ways to get into it. And speaking of that, is there any sort of like solid advice that you would give to any aspiring technology leaders who aim to progress from project management roles to executive positions like CTO within their organizations? Any sort of key paths that they could, or key things that they could do to help with going through that similar journey that you've sort of gone through?
Well, I guess yes. I have seen many people progressing in their careers, and I think I can distinguish them in two groups. Some of them
Okay.
just express leadership, and some of them are waiting for it to happen. So I'd say don't expect leadership to be given to you by means of a promotion. Show leadership in your current endeavors, and people will start treating you like a leader. Care about your team, care about the business you're building together with your team, and maybe care about the quality, try to improve things. And leadership starts emerging from them, from how you connect with the team, how you deal with, we treat them with respect. How do you try to get the best of quality for things? How you try to be very objective on good and bad results. When you are behaving like this, I think leadership naturally emerges on you, and people perceive it, and people trust you for leading them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Just to sort of like securing your spot and showing that you're capable of doing this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And just proving it to everyone, I guess, isn't it? Um, and so what drew you to join Oxalo? Obviously, especially during the challenges brought on by the pandemic. How has your role evolved since joining that team?
So well, Oxolo actually was very, very peculiar because it kind of connected very much with me, that role. In the end, it's joining the three disciplines of AI in which I had experience, right? We have
Hmm.
natural language, we have text to speech, and we have computer vision. So, and well, also one thing that I really liked by the time is that it was a full remote company by design. I mean, it was created as fully remote. It was not one of these companies that during the pandemics it became remote, and then afterwards it kind of converted into a hybrid or something like that. It has always been fully remote, and I like the idea of having people from different origins, from different environments, different ethnicities, different cultures together from the start so that we don't care about the location. We don't care about having a base or another. We just work together, putting our efforts together and bringing the best of ourselves, right? And as I was telling, Solo was gathering these three fields, natural language processing, text-to-speech, and computer vision, and in a single product. And it was also the creational part of it. Everything was generative AI. And at that moment, it was starting to explode. So it was a really interesting and catching opportunity that I had there.
Right.
I had
Yeah.
had some little experience with GANs for generating faces at my previous role, but well, it was so much fun. I had a lot of fun with that, so I was really, really interested in that. And also, it was joining as well with some video processing requirements, and I had also worked long in video surveillance and video analytics. So it kind of it was like the role for me, you know. It was I was
Yeah.
very attracted to it.
Yeah. Especially because obviously with Gen AI being such a new thing, it's obviously got so far to go. I guess of course, you want to get involved in that as early on as possible to sort of be a part of it and see where it goes. I remember you saying that those were your three main interests, right?
Yes, they
And
were.
that's what was most attractive for you because it was like including all of your main interests into one thing, and you got to work on all of them simultaneously. Which is great for you, obviously. And like they're your passions, and it's like it's given you the opportunity to do something that you really truly love and have like huge amounts of passion for. And then you're also getting to work on this really exciting new thing, that's just gonna explode. It's gonna rapidly evolve. Everyone can see it, everyone's talking about it. Gen AI is everywhere, isn't it?
It was more about closing the circle because I had known about natural language processing, but before
Yes.
deep learning, I wanted to adapt to that as well, to just be up to date with this. I had a lot of experience in computer vision, that was okay, but I wanted to close the circle, give it a new try. And honestly, I was a bit scared about generative AI because I had much more experience in discriminative machine learning models. So it was like a new endeavor for me. It was risky. It was okay, but I decided to jump there, and it was the very best decision I had to take. But yeah, of course, don't ever think that I was taking a relaxed decision. It was very hard for me to like turn the page on the 11 years that I spent at my previous company. It was
Yeah.
emotionally also difficult for me to do the change.
Um, and I know we sort of like briefly touched up on it, but just sort of like touching up on that, could you maybe describe some of like the new and exciting AI driven topics that Oxelo are working on at the moment?
Yes, yes. So, well, the original case for Oxolo is video creation, right? Automating video creation. At the beginning, the main purpose of this Oxolo product was to advertise products and services for e-commerce. This is still very important for us, of course. But what we have experienced recently is a substantial expansion of very other interesting business verticals. So this allows us to develop useful solutions for enterprise customers regarding some topics that are very much required right now by them. And we see how we can actually solve their problems on these topics, and this is really interesting. One of them is personalized communication, and this has to do a lot with scalability, right? People are spending a long time editing videos, preparing video content, and having the personalized communication, having the possibility to add like custom media, custom templates, custom music, custom avatars, creating, onboarding their own AI actors for their companies. Having, for instance, the CEO of the company becoming an asset, an avatar that you can have. You can prepare a discourse for this one and prepare a promotional video, speech to the employees, a kind of training for new employees, onboardings for new employees. This kind of things is really becoming very, very important, and it's adding a lot of, let's say, making things much faster for them when using our platform. Automating also A/B testing is another aspect that it's very much requested for us. And basically everything that it's related to content to video for publishers, for news portals, for newspapers. All of these topics are very, very requested by us, and we are going to deploy specific features for the currently existing solution that we have, and create more diversity of avatars, more diversity of templates, more functionalities, like the seamless translation to multiple languages, bulk editing, automatically detecting brand colors from the used media, personalizing the videos with a specific field so that you can bulk edit and send the content to automatically hundreds of recipients. All these things is what we are going forward now.
A lot.
It's a lot of things. Yes, it's a lot of things. We are going step by step though, but many of the features are already out there, and many of them will be coming in the following weeks and months. Yes,
I'm looking forward to seeing it all sort of unravel and all like come into play with everything else that you guys are already doing. That's it's some exciting times ahead then. And so looking ahead, what do you sort of envision as the next frontier or major advancements in AI technologies that will sort of shape industries in the coming years? I know you had doubts about Gen AI a little where we are now, but do you like, are you excited for anything else? Is there anything else out there that you're looking forward to sort of see changes happen?
I'm extraordinarily excited, but not in the way that you would think, maybe. So if we analyze a little bit what happened in the last years, you can see that LLMs happened, GPT models happened, then it came ChatGPT, right, showing the capabilities of and actually practical applications, right? You can detect a bug in my code, you can help me create an email directly, and this was democratized for everybody to be able to use it, right? And now we have recently gone one step ahead, and we have, for instance, LLM orchestrators like Llama Index, LangChain, which help facilitate this kind of applications to every developer in the world. So they don't need to know a lot about one specific topic. They can just use a framework, a library to provide these capabilities in a enormous amount of applications. So I believe that, what is coming is the application of these to a synergy of different fields. We have seen what NLP and computer vision are capable of doing together when synergized, right? It's impressive. But this will expand to other fields that are not properly from AI, like sustainability, like economy, like health. And all these fields are going to benefit from it. So I guess what I'm excited to see is how we are going to adapt our daily working routines to AI. We will experience this enormous raise in productivity in different fields. And we will get less requirements. We'll have less requirements for getting things done. So I guess what I'm expecting to see, looking forward to see, is the societal changes to this new AI landscape, because it's really society that needs to start changing and adapt to AI now, and not the other way around. This is something that needs to be acknowledged by governments. Maybe not as many people will be required to work on specific things, because if productivity is going to increase so much, right? So I think it's a turn of society to adapt fast to AI now.
And of course, I feel like there's obviously those certain people out there that believe that the more that AI advances, the less jobs there will be for people, that AI can, like certain jobs that AI can take over and things like this. And of course, there is always going to be that threat, but AI is always going to need, like, there are always going to be jobs. AI is always going to need people to sort of, like work on it and train it and all sorts of these types of things. But I think you're right. I think it is a case of that society, like not all of society, but some of society does need to just sort of realize that it's going to keep on developing, and there will become a time where AI will take over quite a lot of jobs, but it will be for the better, like you say, because there will be so much more productivity and so much more time to work on those important things that AI can't manage, that humans need to carry on doing. But it's just going to take off a lot of sort of weight of certain people's shoulders, isn't it? And hopefully, and yeah, hopefully make a lot more people like just keep like being able to be a lot more productive so it can do certain things. But yeah, no, I completely agree with you.
I
um
definitely agree that I definitely think it and believe that it's going to be for the better. Yes.
oh,
It will just change the landscape. We just have to adapt to the new ones. New jobs will emerge that
exactly,
jobs
and
never.
they always are.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. So, as someone who has transitioned from technical roles to leadership positions, what skills do you find most valuable in effectively leading and growing AI teams?
Well, I always say that it's easy dealing with machines, but it's very difficult and challenging to deal with people, right? I enjoy very much when I have a technical task because I can take a deep breath and say, okay, now I can rest. I can, and this one is easy. But well, humans are complicated, but it's also very much rewarding to work with them. And I think one of the most important skills that I had to develop that I didn't have at the beginning, at least as much, was assertivity. I think that it's a key skill for leadership, to be honest and transparent, but still keeping the respect at all moments. That is very, very important. And yeah, I think another one could be, for instance, adaptability, like knowing when something needs to change. It's very difficult to, for instance, to adapt teams when you experience growth. That is always a very challenging thing, and every company experiences it differently, right? Many things need to change. So yeah, there is no magical answers on how to do it well, but having a being ready for being open to adaptability, I think it's very important to let it happen and succeed.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And also, like you said earlier, just sort of like taking control and just showing that you are capable of leadership to prove to everyone, and then everyone's obviously if people then start following you, which is yeah, it all just comes with like sort of being confident enough, isn't it? Just having that confidence to actually think, oh yeah, I can be the leader and people will follow me, and because if you don't think like that, then no one will follow you, because it just shows that you need to sort of believe in yourself, don't you? And if you don't believe in yourself, that's people can tell. um but yeah, no, I agree. And finally, we're gonna bring this pod to an end, unfortunately, but the final question I have for you, Carlos, what advice would you give to aspiring AI engineers and researchers who are looking to make an impact in fields like computer vision and natural language processing?
Well, I'd maybe advise them to be curious and try things. AI has been effectively democratized nowadays. There are so many tools and resources available to us, from free frameworks to free courses, and we can make such a difference, right? So I'd
Mhm.
advise everyone out there to be extremely curious about transformers, about diffusion models, about LLMs, about Clip, about everything, and have fun playing with them and see how which ideas do you have in your mind that could bring new things to the world.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair enough, and I completely agree. There's so much to it, so much to it. And for somebody like me who I can talk about it, but I couldn't ever understand it if you actually put some code or something in front of me, it baffles my brain too much. But it's so incredibly interesting to talk about AI and computer vision and machine learning and all the other titles that are within AI. And so has this conversation been as well. That's really, really interesting. You've got some great advice there for our listeners, and it seems like you have had one of the most interesting careers out there. So thank you very much for everything that you've shared with me today, Carles. I wish you the best of luck with your future at Oxalo and any of your other future endeavors. Best of luck with Gen AI and everything else that you've shared with me. And it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining me on Vision to Venture.
I thank you very much, Eddie, for inviting me here. It has been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Vision to Venture. If you're listening, make sure to give us a 5-star review. And if you're watching, like and subscribe to listen to more inspiring stories from leaders in the tech space.